So the entire episode itself starts directly off with Ichigo's dad going ahead and giving his own personal report over to the head captain and all the other captains of exactly everything that ended up happening. Of course, we end up getting some of the captains saying, hey, you should have gone ahead and captured it, you should have gone ahead and done this or whatever like that. And then the Captain Yamamoto, of course, he knows that there's a little bit something here and there that Ichigo's dad is actually keeping from him, and he just allows it to go ahead and go by. Ichigo's dad doesn't even remotely attempt to inform the captain of exactly what's going on, or even let him know that that there is a Quincy that's alive, out of fear that she might end up being killed or anything like that. Of course, we go ahead and flash over to Ichigo's mom. She's going ahead and having daydreams and everything like that about him, like, hey, I should have gotten his name. They both were basically going back and forth simply due to the simple fact that they haven't gone ahead and ever met another Soul Reaper, or he's never actually met another Quincy or anything like that. This is their first time actually being introduced to another person of their opposite, like, being or anything like that, or existence in some type of way, which in my personal opinion is actually pretty damn interesting. It goes ahead and puts it to retrospect that, it's a little bit kind of like two opposites of the exact same coin that were not meant to be in any type of way. Of course, we go ahead and flash over towards Ichigo's mom. She gets this weird type of interaction with her body and starts to nearly collapse out of nowhere, bumping directly into Kisuke. And it seems like Kisuke himself can kind of like sense what's going on when it comes down to the holification. I don't know if he can go ahead and have like some type of, if he can sense like a abnormality or some weird thing going on when it comes down to her overall spiritual pressure in some type of way. So honestly, I couldn't even go ahead and tell you whether or not that's the case. Fast forwarding over towards Ichigo's mom, we get to the point where the mom has basically gone ahead and tried to inform her that, hey, she knows exactly what happened, that she met a Soul Reaper, stuff like that. Of course, Uryu's dad gets mad. He goes over to the maid saying, hey, why did you tell? And she's like, well, the young lady's been bitten by a hollow. I mean, I have no choice but to go ahead and tell your mother, so that way she could probably get the best medical help. If she ends up dying, then the Quincy bloodline is basically gonna be extinguished, or less pure. You guys are basically the ones that are supposed to be continuing on the Quincy bloodline to keep everything moving forward and keep our entire race and existence pushing forward, or basically just overall helping them stay afloat. Ichigo's mom ends up going ahead and going through like the different parts of her body that starts breaking down and everything like that, and just immediately collapses. Turns out there's a big hole directly in her freaking chest, man. It's like this thing is pulsating. It's like pulsating and veins are coming out and everything like that. And of course, Uryu's dad picks her up, gets ready to walk outside, even though mom and everything like that saying it's dangerous. You can't go ahead and do this. What's gonna end up happening? Like out of fear that her son is gonna end up dying or being injured in some type of way. And then this entire time, Uryu's dad is just constantly thinking about, man, there must be some type of way to save her. There must be some type of way. What if I would have stopped her that time when she went out? Should I have intervened or something like that? Because he didn't think it was that big of a deal. Out of nowhere, this entire big gigantic hollow just tries to attack him, and lo and behold, Ichigo's dad ends up saving the day, jumping directly in and helping out. I thought it was pretty damn dope because I thought it was Kisuke originally. He ends up seeing Ichigo's mom and was like, hey, what's going on with her? and Urio's dad is like, hey, look, this is exactly like she tried to protect you, okay? She tried to protect you, and now she's in a position where we don't know what the hell has happened to her. She could be dying. She could be having some type of disease. It could be AIDS for all we know. And Ichigo's dad is like, oh, so she got injured just trying to protect me? And at this point, like, they don't know exactly what's going to end up happening. Lo and behold, Kisuke ends up showing up saying, hey, well, I know exactly how to go and help her. However, there's a choice that you're going to specifically have to make in order to go ahead and save her life. If you end up actually wanting to go ahead and save her life, I can't make that choice for you. That's something that you have to go ahead and do. We go ahead and flash forward directly over into what Ichigo's mom is going through. She has this vision that she's falling or whatever like that. But it's not like she's falling like into an abyss or anything like that. She's falling into darkness, but it's quiet. It's lonely. All these different things that she's going through, describing exactly the feeling of her falling. But she said that it feels like someone down there is in need of her help. And then we get the amazing shot of the Hollow. Of course, he ends up looking like he's about to go ahead and swallow her. Oh, I don't like the way I said that. God damn it. Why did I say that like that? Going forward, we go ahead and flash forward to Kisuke. He's going ahead and explaining them introducing himself, telling them exactly who he is and everything like that, that he's been there 100 years, and that there is a way to go ahead and turn it back to normal. Exactly what she's experiencing is the holification. Of course, Kisuke has seen that happen to a couple of different people before, to where they end up losing their minds or whatever like that, turn into beasts. Of course, we know that later on, those individuals end up changing and being able to control that holification later on down the line, which of course, this particular story explains exactly why Ichigo is so heavily different from all the other holified humans or holified beings. Not just the fact that he himself is a soul reaper and holified or whatever like that, but the fact that he seems to have been born with this holification bloodline built inside his very being. And that explains exactly why Hollow Ichigo is the way he is. I mean, he's basically him in a type of way. He's basically his entire persona, his entire psyche personified directly into his blade. And I think that the whole idea of Zangetsu is just another imagery of the two halves of himself. The holification part of himself and the Quincy part of himself going ahead and mixing to create his Soul Reaper powers. And that actually makes a lot of sense. He of course says that there is a vaccine, and in order to go ahead and make a vaccine to go ahead and cure her, so in order to go ahead and create the vaccine, it would basically require Ichigo's dad to basically become human. In order for them to go ahead and holify, completely cure her, she would basically have to be a Quincy human and a human Soul Reaper, basically using both of their energies together in order to create the vaccine, which would basically cause Ichigo's dad to have to become human. That means he won't be able to use his powers or anything like that. He will slowly, gradually lose his powers because that energy or that ability, that energy that he's using to create the vaccine will basically be sapped directly into it. Of course, we go ahead and go to where Ichigo's dad automatically makes the decision. Of course, I'm gonna go ahead and save her no matter what. Why wouldn't I save her? Even though they're completely surprised. So we go ahead and flash forward to Ichigo's mom and what's going on in her head and everything like that. Turns out she's still going ahead and looks like she's being consumed by the Hollow. until Ichigo's dad steps in, saves her, and she ends up technically not waking up, but she ends up being cured. Urio's dad slowly starts making his way back home, meeting the maid in the process, and he's like, go home, let my mom know that she's no longer gonna end up being a Quincy or anything like that. That's basically it. I mean, there's nothing that could possibly have been helped when it comes down to it. There was no other way that they possibly could have gone ahead and cured her, unless they go ahead and allow her to suffer the holification and hope that she ends up being able to control her abilities the exact same way that the other holification guys were able to control their abilities. There's so many different factions when it comes down to Bleach. I always end up forgetting different names of different groups and stuff like that. So be calm with me since I forgot their name or anything like that. But yeah, I forgot the name of the exact group. But I guarantee I'm gonna go ahead and remember it right after I go ahead and finish making this video. Oh God. But flashing forward, we end up moving directly to Ichigo's dad explaining to him that his mom went ahead and at that point left the family house. She graduated high school, and then with Kisuke's help, they ended up opening up. Of course, Ichigo's mom ended up going ahead and coming in to help him out with the clinic, eventually becoming like a student or whatever like that. And yeah, eventually he ended up losing his powers. He basically ended up lying to her about exactly why he lost his powers or anything like that, or what all that happened. But he feels in some type of way that she actually still knew exactly what happened, but just didn't want to go ahead and explain that she knew. Then we end up getting tons of different scenes of them spending time together, hanging out, and we see that Ichigo's dad genuinely loved Ichigo's mom. It was basically that semblance of like he fell in love with her and just could not go back, or I guess in a way you could describe it as that. He basically fell in love with her, and she basically became his son. His entire purpose of being able to be content with the life that he ended up living and being able to accept the situation that he was in. Then later on, Ichigo ends up then later on, Ichigo's dad ends up explaining to him, oh well, and then the rest is history. We ended up having you later on. You ended up getting your powers directly from Rukia, and then everything ended up happening. And once you went ahead and broke through your holification, my powers ended up reawakening. And that's basically what it was. He basically didn't need his dad anymore in order to control his holification, and so therefore his dad was able to get his powers back. But Ichigo's dad tells Ichigo that there was no reason that your mother should have died or whatever like that to Grand Fisher. She should have been able to body Grand Fisher easily with no trouble whatsoever, because she was a very powerful Quincy. So there's no reason she should have been able to be bodied by Grand Fisher. But yeah, we go over to the after credits scene, and we end up seeing that Ichigo's mom should never by Grand Fisher. That the fact that she was the level of Quincy that she was, she should have been able to fight Grand Fisher with no trouble whatsoever and defend herself. But lo and behold, whenever Grand Fisher attacked, she tried to use her abilities, and it just didn't work. It must have not worked in some type of way, which means that his next suspicion or anything like that of exactly why they didn't work is that so lo and behold, Ichigo's dad ends up explaining to him that in Quincy folklore, there is actually a Quincy king who's able to take and distribute all the different powers of the Quincy's. So Yhwach must have gone ahead and selected exactly what Quincy's were, quote unquote, I guess you can call it worthy of having the power. So all the ones he deemed worthy ended up losing their power and losing their strength and got absorbed into him, which is why Uryu's mom ended up dying of her sickness and Ichigo's mom ended up losing her power. And that right there must have been what specifically caused Ichigo's mom to die. And Ichigo's like, well, why? How is he able to do this? It's because all the Quincy's literally have his blood flowing through their veins. So that's specifically why Yhwach called him my son born from darkness. Basically a Quincy that he didn't even know even existed, or completely separate from his own personal blood in some type of way, I guess you could say. Which, it still begs the question, why does Yhwach know so much about Ichigo? Why does he know so much about Ichigo? Is it because the Quincy's all have a collective like hive mind or something like that? Which it can't be, because Yhwach would basically always know what's going on with Ichigo 24/7 if that's the case. But it doesn't seem like it. It seems like he just knows information about him. So it could be a situation where he's just been watching him. But then, of course, we end up going ahead and getting the amazing scene of Ichigo getting his badge back and saying that he's ready to go ahead and leave. Basically, go get his powers back. Which he's like, Dad, I'm leaving. And the girl, I guarantee you, she doesn't know exactly what the fuck he's saying or who he's talking to, because she can't see Ichigo's dad, so it's like, who are you talking to? But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my breakdown of the entire episode. If you did, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe down below for more videos just like this one. Make sure you like me, love me, and you talk to me down below, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Peace.